How to get out of Babylon. Post Passover thoughts. I'm on the way home. No sudden turns because this thing is just sitting here. And I already did one, and I hadn't deleted the other stuff. So, take two. Okay, coming up on a turn, and I am going to have to turn sharp. So, talked a lot of things. Really wanted to do a video with a friend there, but it didn't work out. I know he was kind of reticent about doing it. Anyway, Missouri Wind and Solar. No, Ron's Electric Solar Power. Going through Seymour. So we talked about the idea of neutrality, neutral nations, non-belligerent nations. And the source that you would look at is, you can just look up neutrality, non-belligerent nation status. And he said it's the best place is in the listing in the United States Department of Defense. There's a whole book on it, or a book, part of a book on it. So look that up and think through some of these things, because I've been saying before, you want to get your shovel out, and all these preconceived notions and your ideas and the way you're going to do things, and if anybody messes with me, I'm gonna blah blah blah. And you need to take a shovel, dig a big hole, and bury all of that shit, because we're going to be living by law. Now, I made a point with Stephen that before the Mosaic Law was given down, law was there, and everybody that has studied the Bible at all understands that. Tithing existed, before it was actually given down. The idea of the Levirate law, if a brother doesn't have, if a brother dies and has not raised any seed, you take his wife and you raise seed, children, to your brother's name. Okay? Those laws existed. So there are many other examples, and oh boy, somebody's coming up really fast on my butt. So be aware of biblical law. As I said before, I got this from The Third Paradigm by Dr. Mark Ludwig. It's not going to be a smorgasbord. It's not going to be picky choosy. I like this, I don't like that. No, you're going to be living under Yahweh's law. There it is. Missouri Wind and Solar. 417-935-2260. Missouri Wind and Solar. So we need to have that in our head. A lot of people out there have their idea of how they're going to live and whatnot, and I just advise you to consider the fact that you might not want to plan on doing that. There's way too many people out there with the, prepper and survivalist mentality and el lobo solitario. There's a channel, YouTube channel, The Contingency Plan. And Jersey sent it to me, and I watched the video, and I started reading the comments, and I'm like, man, this guy's a Fruit Loop. Whether she liked him or not, I don't care. Young kid, stupid kid, goes and does his prepper shopping at Dollar Tree, which one guy wrote on one of the channels and said that Dollar Tree was specifically started by the Illuminati to kill off the part of the American population that eats cheap food, high in mercury and whatnot. Okay, City Limit Diggins. I'm looking for my turnoff. So you don't buy your prepper food at Dollar General and Dollar Tree and Dollar Rack and Dollar Shelf and all that. Good grief. And the guy specifically said, I don't like to eat food. That is such a mindless statement. Like, okay, you're already half zombie, you know, making that statement. It's just weird. So anyway, back to the non-belligerent status thing. I just want to wrap this one up. The idea is that not going to take sides if there's a war. Let's say invaded by who cares, doesn't make any difference. Mexico, Canada, okay, China, Russia, Korea. Doesn't make any difference who's invading. England, France, Spain, you know, India, Pakistan. Not going to take sides in the conflict. Non-belligerent status, neutrality, treaty of neutrality. That's what this region is going to be. I'm just telling you, not my opinion, just fact. Deal with it. Does that mean that you can't help either side? No, it doesn't. You can help any side you want, but okay, I don't remember where I wish I would have notated when I turned here. But if you help one side, then you're obligated to be willing to help the other side. You can patch up wounds, you can take in wounded, but that means, again, you do it for both sides equally. Okay, fact. You can let one side or the other come through your land. That means you do it for both. Okay, you can allow air traffic across your land. That means you do it for both. So I think you get the message there. So yeah, and then beyond that, I'm just going to point out a couple instances in history that I did before, and that was that World War II, Switzerland said, hey, we're going to sit this one out. Okay, we're not going to take part. Now Hitler went to them and said, hey, what if I invade your, or he sent word or whatever, you know, what if I invade your nation with 1 million men? And they said, oh, hold on, we'll shoot twice and go home. And they meant it. And he knew they meant it. And he knew they were capable of it. So Hitler did not mess with Switzerland. Stalin was not quite so intelligent. He invaded Finland in 1939. It's called the Winter War. It lasted, I think it was 3 months. Look it up. Not positive. Russia had 2,000 airplanes. Finland had 132, something like that, whatever. Russia had 3,500 tanks. Finland had 225, something. I mean, in a ballpark, fairly accurate. Russia had like 10 times to 100 times the armament going into the conflict. 3 months later, Stalin said, I sent 1.5 million soldiers into Finland, and 1 million never came home. 1 million out of 1.5 million dead. Okay, can you do the math? 2/3, 500,000, 500,000, 500,000. 2/3 dead. So how did they do that? Did they have some super awesome secret weapon? No. They had mountainous terrain, they had forests, they had cold weather, which Russia was used to, but they were better at navigating it because it was their home turf. Guerrilla warfare, rule of guerrilla warfare is don't fuck with the indigs on their own territory. Just don't mess with them. They knew the terrain, they knew where to get water, they knew how to stay warm, they had the safe places. Then they had 700,000 men who could ski. And they had 700,000 sheets, bed sheets, white bed sheets, whatever. I'm just, you know. And they had 700,000 men who could ski with white bed sheets who could shoot. So, boom, 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 boom. Stalin called it White Death. So, silent death, white death. They never knew what hit them. 4 men on skis would take out tank after tank after tank. You got to get out of the tank to take a piss. When you get out of the tank to take a leak or cook your breakfast, boom, headshot, dead. Throw a grenade in the tank, tank is disabled, you go on to the next one. Or they use it, whatever. So, there you go. White death. And again, back to Switzerland, the national motto, national militia motto of Switzerland is Ein Schweizer, sieben Deutsch. What does that stand for? 1 Swiss, 7 Germans. To this day, look it up for yourself. 1 Swiss, 7 Germans. You want to mess with this? It's going to be ungodly expensive. So, we suggest that you don't mess with us. So, anyway, non-belligerent status does not mean you can't defend the innocent, defend the weak. In fact, it dictates that you do. It mandates that you take care of those within your guardianship, within your area, your region, your AO, or as I say, your SO, your sphere of operation. We are going to have a sphere of operation. We have water going down, and we have the terrain going down 120 miles. The Craton is 120 miles deep, and 120 miles up means no air traffic either. That's my opinion, personal opinion. I believe that there's the capability to do that and to enforce that. And, you know, God can have this divine area where you just don't mess with it. Because if you do, you ain't coming out. Like I said, there's once upon a time I wrote a thing saying, you know, this could be like Rivendell, you know, many, many houses of healing. And then again, there may be a level that is like Lothlorien, where if evil comes in, it never gets out. It's buried there. When the FBI was going to go into the militia of Montana, no, into the Montana Freemen, they were told by John Truckman, who was the head of the militia of Montana, and they had hats printed up. They found made in America hats, baseball hats, and it said, "My county is protected by 5,000 snipers." That's the number of hunters in the county. And Truckman told them, and he said, if you touch a hair on their head, you'd better love Montana, because you will be buried here. And the FBI later told him that this was the chief agent in charge of FBI at the time in the area, said, "You changed the rules of engagement for us." They went into Waco. You saw how they went into Waco. You saw how they went into, you know, different situations with their Pasgat armor and their, you know, black helmets and their submachine guns. When they went in there to, and I was working on the dock at the time. These guys said, "Man, they're gonna wipe them out, man. They're gonna just slaughter them all, just like Waco." And I said, "They will not touch a hair on their head. They will not mess with them." And they went, "Yeah, right." When the FBI showed up, they were wearing white tennis shoes, blue windbreakers with FBI and nice white letters on the back, white shirts and whatnot. So they did not mess with them. And the reason they did is because they said, "You changed the rules of engagement. You forced us to operate a wee bit differently up in Montana than we did at Waco." So there you go. Non-belligerent status. They weren't out to start a war, but at that time, in that place, for that one scenario at least, there was basically, we're non-belligerent, leave us alone. Don't mess with our people either, by the way, and we consider these our people even though we're not on the same page with them, but, you know, just don't mess with them, because if you do, you'll be buried here. You better love the big Montana sky, because that's what you're going to be looking at for the rest of your life. So, so non-belligerent status, pacifist, you want to call it pacifism, you know, whatever. But we need to have, and in another video, I want to tell about a dream that a brother had, because it was as if it was a blood curdling, you know, just real sheets soaking with sweat, you know, type of dream. And it was as if he was here in the Ozark Plateau and performing a patrol but in a non-belligerent manner. So I'll go into that some other time. I don't want to go into it right now. And I need to check my map. So, all All right, this is Jerry Diamond. If you're listening to this, you are the remnant.